Alright, so now this, Sanjo versus Gaza Lake. This is the losers finals, so this is our first finals. Of course this is technically a finals for 5th place, right? So, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it's still a finals, so it's still pretty hype. Both these guys kind of started playing Remastered at the same time, and it was honestly just before this tournament started. So both of them, this is really a journey, I guess you could say, for both of these players that they've been on, starting from nothing, or like very little experience, I guess you could say, and reaching all the way to the finals of losers. Now over here, playing random Homeworld 1, we have Sanjo of the Banjo Valley, which is such a cool name, and such cool colours, right? Just looks awesome. Playing the tie-down, or rolled the tie-down I suppose, because it was random Homeworld 1. Now over here, who do we have? It's Garzerlake. Tall Garzerlake. This guy's with the black on black with the red. Very snazzy. I definitely prefer to have some colour in there, but I guess it's quite neutral, black on black. He even has a completely black badge, so he's just black, 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 black. Awesome. Right, so both players starting off pretty standard. Garzerlake sending 2 collectors off to this first patch, which is kind of interesting. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference this game, how these guys expand, but I am kind of expecting both players to try and take 3 patches. Both players getting the probes out. I think these probes don't see each other, because they're just too far apart. But this probe might see that probe up there. In fact, oh wow, that's immaculate positioning on this probe from Sanjo. Now, I can't tell for sure, but I do believe that it does in fact see this flagship, because you can see things just outside the blue sphere, so this flagship is probably in vision, but this probe does not see it in return, so very good. Also sees the carrier, of course. Now for Garzerlake's side, looks like his probe has been sent way over here. I think he thought his opponent was further back, so he sent his probe into this dust cloud. It is probably going to fall out of vision radius, so it's kind of a useless probe, but he's got another one over here if he wants to send that one in. Now Garzerlake expanding forwards, right? Kind of risky as Vega to expand forwards against Homeworld 1, but we don't see, well actually we do, double fighters, fighter technology from Sanjo here. Garzerlake on his end has that singular fighter facility on the front carrier, but we're still not seeing any production coming out from the mothership, so it could be quite dangerous here. So that probe was in fact sent forward. He should be able to spot this fighter facility being set up by Sanjo. Sanjo's still making a collector here, but that doesn't mean she's not making fighters at the same time, because that is a trait that Homeworld 1 has. They can build 2 things at the same time. Setting the research ship away. Now, something a lot of players don't seem to realise, I believe this is true, in Homeworld Remastered, you don't get buffs on your research speed until the research ships actually connect. Because I believe, now this could be wrong, but I believe that the speed of the research is affected by the health of this hidden module, right? And this module's health only goes up once these ships connect with each other. So, that's just the game theory, but, you know, I'm pretty sure that's right. I also don't really like sending it away because I feel like, you know, you don't know where probes are. It's probably putting it in more danger not having it next to your mothership, because you can defend it if it's next to your mothership, but if it's over here somewhere, if a couple of bombers show up over here, it's going to be very difficult to defend that. So, some assault craft for Garzerlake now. They do have their upgrade, and Sanjo, to be honest, a little bit late with these interceptors, so I think Garzerlake might be able to hold this if he puts his assault craft into evasive, but we will have to see how he holds this. This is not an easy hold for Vega to do, especially with this kind of distance. I would not have expanded forwards as Vega in this scenario. I would have gone over here or over here at least. I really don't think there's any problems in going to this patch. You know, this distance increase is significant. You know, like, this is going to be very difficult to hold, is what I'm saying here. With the very early cloak generator here on the carrier, you know, it's a good thing to do as a principle, but Sanjo doesn't have any bombers, she doesn't have any frigates or anything like that, so I feel like this cloak generator is a bit preemptive. But it is fairly cheap, so I guess I don't mind it too much. Of course, if you have the Cloak generator active, then your ships are able to dock with the carrier a bit better, because while they're docking, they're not attacking, so they will fall underneath the Cloak. Sanjo now beginning the fight, running in here. Gaza Lake's carrier opens fire. One interceptor goes down already. Assault craft going down. So okay, so the fight's sort of getting a bit scrappy here. Gaza Lake. Oh no, Sanjo's got her interceptors in evasive. Oh, this is such a mistake. Oh dear God. Oh, whoopsie daisy. Lost a whole bunch of interceptors there. Probably gonna have to run away, try and reset this fight. Yeah, whoops. Another one going down as it tries to flee. More and more assault craft being produced by Gaza Lake. Decides to bring his flagship forwards as well. I kind of like it, but I also kind of dislike it. It weakens this patch while strengthening this patch. I don't think Sanjo is in any position to actually attack this patch for now, so I think it should be a good move in the time being, but yeah, we'll have to see. An assault craft squadron getting focused down now. Should probably go down before it's able to dock. And in fact, it receives the docking bug there, so it will not be able to dock in time. Sanjo just with more and more and more interceptors coming out here. What's the follow-up tech? Yes, it will be the light corvettes. Deciding just to hammer home on this fighter battle, because I mean Gaza Lake is not teching behind this. He doesn't. Oh, that's a lie. He's got his corvettes, so he'll start to make corvettes here. So Sanjo's light corvettes are getting preemptively countered here by Gaza Lake. I do believe these guys have played with each other quite a bit, so I'm sure they know each other's styles quite well. Honestly, having those interceptors idle there for a couple of seconds was so huge. Having like 10 or 20 interceptors on top of what she has right now would probably be a winning position for Sanjo. But as it stands, you know, she's losing her interceptors about as fast as Gaza Lake is losing his. Might not even lose this one. Doesn't try to dock it, so we'll actually lose that. But yeah, Gaza Lake managing to take a lead, which is very rare to see in the Vega versus Homeworld 1 interceptor battle. You know, Sanjo was a bit late on the rush, and also had that mistake there at the start where she idled her interceptors very bad. We'll have to see how she rebounds from this, because Gaza Lake, I think he's still making interceptors from his flagship, but he does have the capability now to make these missile corvettes, I should say. So the light... Oh, no, she's actually skipped straight to heavy corvettes. Wow, both players surprising me here. So the light corvette's not coming out. Sanjo says, you know, I'm happy enough with my interceptor count. I don't think I agree with that. I feel like these interceptors are going to start getting cleared up very quick all of a sudden. You know, the flagship plus the carrier plus this amount of assault craft. It's going to be very dangerous. It looks like one of these resource collectors will probably go down actually if the bursts come in, and they do. So there goes a collector. So Gaza Lake does have lance fighters, but he needs to make use of them. Now cloaking his carrier, so if a collector is not mining, it will actually fall into the cloak. So if this one manages to undock from this asteroid before the heavy vets kill it, it will cloak. So it does manage to cloak, and we see the burst fire actually get spread across several other collectors there. So not the best for Banjo, but she should be able to get this. No, it actually falls into the cloak just before that happens. Wow, what a clutch cloak coming in from Gaza Lake here. Saves 2 collectors already. The missile corvettes and the lance fighters are out on the field at this point. But this is quite a number of heavy corvettes, isn't it? Sanjo just really committed to this 2-patch style. We're seeing the same from Gaza Lake. Of course, he doesn't have the room to... Oh dear! Oh no! No! Oh please, good lord. Don't let this happen to him. Not in game 1. Look at this, he's got a jammed patch. Please realise this. I have a feeling he's not going to realise it though. So Sanjo with the double economy over Gaza Lake at this point. Oh, if you're playing Vega, you know, I'm sorry to say, but you have to just realise this sort of stuff. This happens all the time. The Vega refinery is really bad at this. If you're playing Vega, you need to be watching out for this. Like, you shouldn't pick this race if you're not going to be watching out for this kind of stuff. So the fight, which should have been going Gaza Lake's way, is starting to become kind of dicey, and in fact Sanjo looks like she's kind of pulling ahead with the Corvette count. I shouldn't speak too soon though, these lance fighters are on the field, there's 2 of them now, so we'll have to see. And it looks like, I can't tell if he noticed that. I feel like this refinery was raised slightly, so it looks like this patch is going to start mining again correctly. So I'm so glad he noticed this, because we've seen this before. Thai guy had this happen to him against his match in, I can't remember who he was playing, but his flagship was blocking a patch, and players do this all the time. It's so heartbreaking to see. But he does get his economy up and running again, and we are seeing, you know, now he's got this economy back, starting to make more and more Corvettes. These Corvettes don't have their... do they? Well, I think they might actually have their upgrades, so... with the Lance Fighters at least, and the docking points close by, should be able to take this fight. Is this flagship shooting? Yes it is. Okay. So Sanjo now, Gaza Lake just had his cloak active the whole time, didn't stop cloaking even when he wasn't under attack, so that cloak is probably out of energy at this point, which means the heavy Corvettes are coming in, and they will manage to kill a collector here. Now this is just the real problem of expanding forwards as Homeworld 2. Your collectors are so vulnerable. They've only got 2,500 hit points. Against something like a heavy Corvette, or a laser Corvette, they will just die so quickly. You know, Sanjo's on, what's this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8, 7, 15 collectors. This is from Gaza. This is, I can't really tell. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now, after all that, he's only got about 4 collectors back here. So he is on the economy deficit. But he is taking the fight fairly convincingly. You know, these interceptors have been the real story here. Would have preferred to see light corvettes plus assault frigates, but I guess getting to assault frigates, that would have allowed Garzerlake a window to tech himself, so, you know, quite a difficult scenario. After Banjo got that, lost a whole bunch of her fighters when she idled them, that was really a setback. Garzerlake notices that these assault craft are going to die if they keep trying to dock, so he sets them to attack. Very well played. Bit of an idle collector here, probably one that was docked, and has come out of the dock and is now just idling. Assault frigate on the field now is going to be very troublesome for Garzerlake. What I'd like to see from Sanjo is a full-on switch into the light corvettes, and just let the assault frigates deal with these missile corvettes. No lasers on the field or anything like that, so these are lance fighters that are free to take. You need to kill these. Couple of interceptors are chasing them now, and now they're in the flagship's range. They should go down. We'll be very fortunate to get those out of there. This missile corvette squadron now being shot at by 2 assault frigates. This one's very close, probably will land most of its shots here. Unless it gets retargeted onto the collectors. So Sanjo's seeing again, you know, there's nothing to stop my assault frigates from actually dealing with any collectors that I see over here. So decides to go for that. Would have liked to see her finish this missile corvette squadron off though. It doesn't have that much health left. Probably could have got that done. A couple of lance fighters over here just going to die for no reason. And because of that, because the lance fighters are dead and now you have assault frigates, I would love to see just light corvettes. Like, give up on interceptors. There's hull defense and a ton of assault craft over here. The interceptors are really the call to be making here. Definitely needs to clear up this lance fighter though. Lance fighters targeted on these collectors for some reason. They're definitely not going to be able to do that. Sanjo's assault frigates, unfortunately, are shooting at a collector that is docked with that ship hold, so the assault frigates losing target of that, so they retarget onto something according to their targeting priority table, which corvettes, I believe, are at the top of that. So the corvettes now from Gaza Lake getting to focus down. This is a laser corvette. No, Sanjo, pay attention. This was at one laser corvette left. That was definitely worth trying to pick off. Pretty unfortunate. We'll get a collector, I imagine, but maybe not. I mean, this collector's been mining for a while. It could suddenly undock and fall under the cloak again. This cloak has been so clutch for Gaza Lake. I think the collector's going to go down there. And it does. Did lose an assault frigate here, though, to the bombers and the laser corvettes. Needs to be careful, does Gaza Lake. You know, you can't really stop making assault craft here. If you stop making assault craft, I mean, Sanjo has not stopped making interceptors, right? She will start to pull ahead again in that interceptor count. And suddenly an advantage that you had, well, you'll no longer have. Correctly focusing these laser corvettes down. That squadron goes down. Here's another one, needs to focus this one. Oh no, it didn't go down, it must have fallen under the cloak. So now the assault frigate's trying to shoot through the flagship to get to it. Very good positioning on this flagship's dock point, you know, on the opposite sides of the assault frigates. And look at this, something that should just be a clean sweep for Sanjo here. with a little bit of miscontrol, a little bit of misprioritization on targets, suddenly allows Gaza Lake to kind of pull back, even with an economy deficit like this. I say pull back, he's still on the back foot here, but I feel like he's kind of stabilizing a bit. Unfortunately, for some reason, he's decided to start attacking assault frigates with his interceptors. Doesn't have that luxury. Like, you're not that far ahead, man. You need to be getting your assault craft, continuing to take out interceptors. Let dedicated units deal with these assault frigates. Even with the defense fighters is Sanjo now. What do these actually do? Well, this little sort of translucent shield that you can barely see, this will block small bullets. So assault craft bullets will get stopped by that. Something else they do is they can shoot down missiles, fairly infrequently, but they can do that occasionally. Another thing they do is that enemy units within a radius, about the size of this shield, will have their attack damage and movement speed and accuracy lowered by a small percentage. So yeah, it does all those things. So it's a pretty good unit, but you really need about 10 of them, which is the max cap. It's not really worth trickling them into fights like this. Quite similar to the Cloak fighter, you really need all of them on the field at once before you can make use of them. Regardless though, Gaza Lake's once impressive assault craft lead has been dwindling. Mostly because for some reason, like, he's still doing it. He's still targeting assault frigates with assault craft. This is absolutely a wrong move. Like, there's nothing good about this. It's just completely the wrong idea. Don't want to be doing this. You're letting Sanjo get the interceptor lead once again, and it's just a complete waste of your time. We're actually seeing some of these missiles being shot at, but I'm still not seeing any of them going down. I'm not entirely convinced that these defense fighters can shoot down missiles. Oh, one does go down there, but I'm not sure if that hit the... I'm not sure if that hit the shield or not, you know? It's very difficult to tell. Anyway, this carrier is now getting actually beaten up quite badly by these assault frigates over time. Gaza Lake does need to watch out for that. He is actually repairing it with his collectors. This is a waste of time. You don't want to do that. If you're worried about the carrier, just put the flagship here and move the carrier away. Because having 4 collectors not mining is a huge loss to your economy. Heavy corvettes being mixed in with assault frigates now, so these corvettes are really... their days are numbered. Actually, no, all the assault frigates have been cleared up by those laser corvettes. So it's just heavy corvettes at this point. Which is an interesting switch, because we know that Gaza Lake is capable of making lance fighters. But then again, you know, he's let his interceptor count dwindle while he was shooting assault frigates for some reason with his interceptors, so... it's still very dicey for both of these players. I can't really tell at this stage who's going to come out ahead of this. Trying to take out these resource collectors is Sanjo once again. Still no armor upgrade on these collectors, which is understandable. It does cost quite a lot for the Vega player to get that. And no lance fighters. I can't see any lance fighters. There is a bomber squadron, but now with all of these defense fighters adding up their debuff fields, I feel like a lot of these units are starting to do less damage than they would expect it to be doing, right? And Sanjo's actually cleared up this entire front patch. I talked about this at the start, and I'll talk about it again. Taking a forward patch as Vega against Homeworld 1, I really disagree with it. I feel like it's so disrespectful. You know, Homeworld 1 is a race that is... they don't have to upgrade their units, so they have a strong early game. Like, there's no avoiding that. Their early game is just going to be strong, that's how it works. And so, kind of disrespecting it by moving forward like this, I feel like it's just... you know, I feel like you can't be allowed to get away with that. An assault frigate barely alive should go down to these bombers. Yep. Bombers themselves were very close to that assault frigate when it died, but the frigate damage on scuffles and explosions was nerfed very significantly recently because they essentially made bombers useless. Like, they countered bombers just by living. Sorry, actually that's not correct. They countered bombers by dying, right? The bombers would kill them, and then the explosion from the frigate would kill every bomber. It was very stupid, but that's no longer the case. Bombers are fairly viable against frigates now. This was a laser corvette squadron that got cleared up very rapidly. This is a lot of heavy corvettes. Would like to see a support frigate with these heavy corvettes at this point. There is definitely room for a support frigate here. And it looks like Sanjo is actually stabilizing her lead here. If I'm Gaza Lake and I'm strapped for cash, at this point I might sell a couple of assault craft squadrons and try and get more lancers on the field. Still making lasers, which I disagree with. There's no place for lasers in this game. I say he's still making them. This could have been a laser that was docked and has just popped back out, but I think he's still creating these. They do great damage against the assault frigates, but against these heavy corvettes, they're just a waste of money. Carrier was repaired up a little bit, and the collectors are now mining again, but Sancho, once again, is just ignoring everything. Flying in, trying to kill... I can't tell what she's shooting here. Is it the carrier? Huh, it looks like it could be the carrier. Otherwise it's one of these collectors that's docked, but I'm not really sure. Lancefight is now scouring these heavy corvettes. They do enormous damage to the corvettes. This corvette nearly died in one pass. A second Lancefighter comes in to clear that one up. Carrier is once again quite chipped down, but these collectors are going to be the focus here. Very good call. These corvettes are not going to be able to escape, nor are they going to be able to kill the carrier, nor are they going to be able to kill any of these fighters. The best thing they can do in this scenario is to kill the collectors, and the collectors do go down. So Gaza Lake once again has his front patch cleared up. Also overcommitted with these assault craft. They were over here doing a good job, but once they got outnumbered they should have run away, and they didn't. So they're still over here, and they are all going to get cleared up here. Laser corvettes, for some reason, are over here also. This is the one I just talked about that was over here. For some reason, has flown over here, attempting to do economy damage, but this one is actually going to dock before that happens, and these heavy corvettes are going to clear it up before it does anything. So yeah, heavy corvettes really just annihilating these laser corvettes, as you'd expect. Now, Gaza Lake is on one patch. He does have this big ball of assault craft, but this is a substantial amount of interceptors. And I don't know what he's going to do against a significant amount of assault frigates. Sanjo also does have this capital class facility. We could be seeing a missile destroyer in production. If a missile destroyer comes out at this point of the game, it could be over. Not really sure why Sanjo's got all of her interceptors over here doing nothing. Really needs to get those into the fight. Bomber's doing decent damage against these assault frigates. Another laser corvette. Very interesting. I would honestly stop making corvettes at this point and just focus on stabilizing the fighters. Because it's the only fight that you're really winning. The heavy corvettes plus the assault frigates are going to be very difficult to overcome, whereas if you just max out on assault craft and throw in maybe 2 lances, throw in maybe 3 bombers, that'll be a good composition to deal with whatever Sanjo is able to produce in this short time. But Sanjo didn't have all of her assault frigates grouped up, nor does she have any repair corvettes, so she's also kind of been ignoring these laser corvettes for most of it. The heavy corvettes just beelining against this carrier and the collectors. At this point, I don't really see a reason not to just finish off the laser corvettes that you see, right? But in any case, this carrier is getting beaten up, but I doubt it's going to go down. Is she shooting the engine? I really can't tell what these guys are firing at. It looks like it could be the engine, which is a huge mistake, right? The engines are not going to be able to be killed. Sorry, by any of these units on the field right now. You need bombers for that. Laser corvettes going over here, trying to kill another collector. Probably not going to happen, especially if they're targeting one that's on the path to docking. It's just really not going to happen. If these bombs had improved bombs, they could actually take up this drop-off point, which would be annoying, but something that Gaza Lake should have seen, but maybe doesn't see, is that this research ship is sitting out here. Probably a better target than the collectors, to be honest, if you want to make this kind of move, which I disagree with, but each to their own. Assault frigate probably going to go down. This is surely a laser corvette again. Yes, it is. Bombers over here just get cleared up by the reinforcing units coming up from Sanjo. And this laser corvette probably not going to be able to get this kill. It's a bit dicey. It could go either way. Oh, I think it might go down. Really depends how well these heavy corvettes do. Ah, no. The laser corvettes go down just before they're able to deal with those collectors. Assault craft from Gaza Lake, even on his home turf, are getting cleared up now. And what is this? That's a missile destroyer. This has got to be the game, right? There's nothing for Gaza Lake that really deals with missile destroyers. This is the counter unit to everything he has on the field. And to be honest, what he has on the field is not much. So, yeah. Don't know, if Gaza Lake has a destroyer or something in production, which he doesn't, there's no facility. His mistake this game was expanding forwards, and his other mistake this game was not getting a carrier. You really can't compete with Homeworld 1 if you've not got a carrier lead, because their carriers are just better than yours. Yeah, I would have preferred to see this patch and this patch taken, and just tried to play a 3 or 4 carrier game, rather than this sort of 2-patch game within rush distance with just one carrier. I think that was a huge mistake, to be honest, but with the Missile Destroyer coming in here, it's got to be GG, right? I see nothing that Gaza Lake can do in this scenario to actually pull it back. Now he sees this unit. You know, even if he was winning the Strikecraft battle, now that this Missile Destroyer is here, it would be over anyway. And he's not winning the Strikecraft battle. He's actually losing it. And the Missile Destroyer is here, so... Laser Corvette's valiantly trying to land some damage on it. You know, they do good damage, because the Missile Destroyer doesn't have that much health. But, yeah... I mean, we can see how this one's turning out. That's, no good. The fighter's now the target. Probably just going to get picked off fairly cleanly. Kind of laggy here. Getting this from Gaza Lake. Yep, and he actually left the game. I believe this is probably an access violation. I doubt that he quit. But in any case, regardless, it would be Sanjo's win. So yeah, that's just kind of miscontrol from both players, but Gaza Lake with the very aggressive movement forward without a second carrier, just sort of lacking on the fundamentals of the matchup, I'd say. In any case, we'll get into Game 2 in just one moment. Okay, and we're back. So this is Game 2, Gaza Lake vs Sanjo for the losers finals. So we're taking it to Armed for Burial. This was Sanjo's choice. Armed for Burial, probably my favourite map. I think it's tied with Badlands as the best map in the game right now. Just because it's that third patch is very difficult to take, so it actually creates a lot of opportunities for aggression. Without closing out the opportunity to macro. You just have to macro well, as opposed to, duh, I'm gonna get 3 patches and nothing can stop me. Okay, so over here we have Sanjo. This time rolled Kushan. On this map, I think Kushan's pretty good, just because, again, this third patch right here is quite far away from these two, right? And especially later into the game, this one is actually very far away from the action. So what you can do with cloaked fighters is you come around, you can kill a whole patch before they can do anything about it. Because cloaked fighters have great damage versus collectors. They also have good damage versus subsystems, but I don't know if it's enough to justify that kind of usage. Maybe if you saw a, like, shipyard building a cruiser or something. As it stands, Gaza Lake over here, still with the Vega, because he's locked in on Vega. Just taking this first patch with the early fighter again, I'm expecting, yes it is. Sanjo over here. Nothing yet. There is the research ship. This is 112, which is fairly early. I mean, she queued it up basically as soon as the game started, or just a bit after. Interesting expansion here. Moves here and then faces away. I tend to go forward and then face that way, but I think this is okay. The only reason I do that is so the collectors are docking behind my mothership relative to where my opponent's coming from. There's really no other reason for it. Good placement on the carrier above the patch. Gaza Lake with the same thing, good placement. And a very, very early dash for this third patch. Now, this is in fact so early that I doubt that we're going to see a proper response from Sanjo here. Doesn't even have technology ready to capitalize on this. No refinery from Gaza Lake though, so these collectors are going to be long distance mining for just a little bit. Honestly, I feel like they would be better over here for now, and these two that I just popped out could have been the ones to be sent. Because we are seeing he's only on 3, 4 here, right? Both of these patches can actually hold 6 collectors, so doing that so early is, don't know. I wouldn't do it personally. I think it's kind of inefficient. Something else that's inefficient is having your collectors idle. So it needs to get these guys mining. That one was just assigned, but this one is just sitting here. I don't know what players do like in this early phase of the game that taxes their APM so much that they have idle collectors. Like, what is he doing? Is he... I don't know. Like, he must be looking here, right? Surely. Like, you're looking at this screen, there's an idle collector. Just assign it, right? Don't really understand. Got Assault Craft very early from Gaza Lake, so I believe he's doing this blind, isn't he? No, he does have a probe. Can that probe see the mothership? I expect it can, actually, yes. It's probably just in range. So, not making fighters blind, sorry. But making fighters now in response, probably, to the fighters that he's now seeing coming out from Sanjo. Sanjo does have the interceptors already. Is this a squadron? It's hard to tell. I think it must be, right? Because I can't just select one. Must be a little formation here. Very good. Sanjo somehow knows about this probe. Probably saw it coming in. And is now hunting around for it. Probably sees it right now, so... Just gonna fly past? Pay attention. Nope. There they go. Oh no, they did notice. Yeah, okay, good. Does see this probe will go down very quickly. These are interceptors, not scouts. So what are we going to see from both these players? I'm fully expecting Garzerlake to get a carrier this game. He obviously has a much greater distance between himself and his opponent, and he does have a third patch this time. Sanjo needs to challenge this probe that's just been sent to the dust cloud. Doesn't want to let that one get away with anything. Although it looks like Garzerlake is the one who's actually going to claim control over this cloud. Has these assault craft moving in already with the speed upgrade to kill this probe. Wow, okay, very fast frigates from Sanjo. This is pretty good, actually. I do like it. Garzerlake, he doesn't have anything except fighters, right? And in fact, he doesn't have a second military production queue running. He only has this one that's making fighters, which is very strange. It definitely means that he's floating a lot of resources, unless he's getting some technology that's very expensive, but I can't imagine what it would be. We do see, so he is actually trying to get these early carriers. If we see a couple of assault frigates come out here and hyperspace to this patch, it's going to be in so much trouble. Oh my goodness. Okay. These were all just undocked. I thought it was going to be more, but still a sizable amount of interceptors just got undocked here from Sanjo. He's taking a third patch herself now. I think this patch could probably stand to lose one of its collectors and have it transferred, but definitely not massively oversaturated here. Now Sanjo must know that there's a probe in here, but doesn't seem to be making a probe of her own to deal with it. Perhaps she will just fly by it and get lucky, get a kill on that, get a kill on it that way. As it stands, you know, Garzerlake sees everything, Sanjo sees nothing. You know, there's no probes, absolutely no probes over here. She barely sees the flagship. Are we going to see these assault frigates? Well, what is the purpose behind this, right? Probably needs to get them out fairly soon, because otherwise Garzerlake is going to be able to counter them. Garzerlake with that carrier now, 6 minutes 20. Sanjo moving in here. Doesn't know that she's being spotted by this probe. You know, it's something when you're playing Arm for Barrel, you need to keep your probes up in these dust clouds. Not having a probe in this cloud is really bad. In any case, we see her flying in now. Starts taking shots at one of these collectors. There are assault craft ready to deal with this. I think Garzerlake's probably still going to lose a collector though. It does go down. So Sanjo kicking off the fight by killing a collector, and will now turn around to fight these assault craft. Will she win this fight? It's I think it's about even. One thing against Garzerlake here... Oh, that's a misrallied collector. One thing against Garzerlake in this scenario is that the Homeworld 1 fighters are better pound for pound. The thing that the assault craft have is that they can dock, but he doesn't have any docking points close by. What is this collector doing? Needs to get that out of there. Okay, so what is that? Oh, it's just a controller. So got this frigate facility really early, but didn't use it, right? Sanjo, very, very focused on killing collectors, right? Completely ignoring these assault craft. Trying to kill another collector, I really don't think it's going to work, and you're going to take such losses on your interceptors. Yeah, decides just to run away from that for now. These collectors, hopefully she'll notice them now she's flying backwards. Come on. Come on, please. Ay, ay, ay. These players, honestly. What just died? Oh, there's a rogue. Oh, she's got a rally point set up here. So there are still interceptors flying in to their death. The refinery will just kill those by itself, to be honest. Uh-huh. Gaza Lake, with a similar mistake, just sacrifices one of his assault craft for no reason. This will probably go down. There's a very small possibility it will escape, but no, we do see it go down. Sanjo gets those collectors mining again, and we do see, finally, there's the assault frigate. So I had this frigate technology for a good 5 minutes, something like that. Maybe not quite that long, but a very long time, and only now are we seeing assault frigates on the field, so a bit preemptive with the technology, I'd say. But it does mean that we could see iron frigates very soon. Although personally I wouldn't go for iron frigates in this game. Sanjo catching Gaza Lake trying to dock or something here, gets a ton of kills all at once, and then jumps out. I can't tell if she actually killed a squad. There is one with one member left, so it could have been that one that was dying. Needs to get a bunch of these, turn around and kill this. Please kill it. As it stands though, the assault frigate is coming in, and it is, for now, uncontested, but we do see these heavy missiles on the field already. Now, as I said, she needed to get these assault frigates out very quickly, or they would be countered before she got there, and she has taken way too long. So far, the only real damage Sanjo's done this game is killed one collector. I will say she is ahead in the economy, but not that ahead, right? Gaza Lake leaving a refinery now himself, so his flagship is free to move, just like Sanjo's is now moving out on the map. The assault frigate taking shots at the carrier, it doesn't really have anything better to do while it's by itself. If there are 2 or 3, they can kill collectors very quickly, but I don't think they're going to get much done, because these heavy missiles are already flying in. Now, Gaza Lake does need to be careful. He needs to keep making fighters, because this is a lot of interceptors coming in from Sanjo now. If he's not careful, if he loses the fighter battle, things can go very south. You know, suddenly, if you lose this fighter battle, it opens the floor. You know, Homeworld 1 can start making all sorts of things. They can start making Corvettes, they can start making bombers, anything they want. Gaza Lake once again making this mistake. I really don't know why he keeps doing this. I can't explain it. Look at how much damage the interceptors do. Nothing. They don't do any damage. In fact, I'm pretty sure an assault frigate out-heals the DPS of an assault craft squadron. There is no reason on earth to use assault craft for this reason. You need to use your assault craft to kill the fighters. There's no purpose in this. You're not losing the frigate battle. Just think about what you're doing, right? Just think about the advantages you're actually gaining by using your units the way that you use them. Sanjo now sees these heavy missile frigates, decides not to pull out, decides just to make iron frigates in the back. I don't like that. I would have preferred to see the Corvette switch, but we will see the iron frigates. A couple of bombers from Gaza Lake as well, attacking on damage. But this assault craft fight is going to go really badly for him, again, because once again, he's shooting the assault frigates with his assault craft. Seriously, it's pointless. It actually tilts me quite a lot to see this happening. It's so... like, there's no purpose to it. It's just really bizarre. I don't really understand it, but... yeah. Takes massive losses on his assault craft because he's not using them to fight interceptors. All the assault frigates will go down to these heavy missiles though. Unfortunately for them, iron frigates do pop out, accompanied by light corvettes, so this is a pretty good composition from Sanjo. The light corvettes plus the iron frigates. I would like to see heavy corvettes, because at this point the fighters from Gaza Lake are no problem. I mean, he's still doing it. He's still doing it. Why? Why are you still fighting frigates with assault craft? Really bizarre ideas coming out from this guy. I don't really know where he's getting these thoughts, but I don't know. I mean, look at it now. Like, where are his fighters? This one's about to die. This one's about to die. This one's about to die. He's got like 3 over here, and that's it. Remember when he had like nearly full fighters? It's just crazy. I really don't get it. But the iron frigates facing off against the heavy missiles now. Probably not a great fight for the iron frigates, but We'll have to see. I feel like this... I mean, he's just lost all his fighters. Makes no sense. It really makes no sense at all. I'm pretty sure he's still doing it, isn't he? No, finally he gets his fighters shooting at interceptors, which they should have been doing the whole time. I don't know, guys. Stuff like that actually kind of... I'm sitting here as a spectator, and I don't want to see people making mistakes like that, because Gaza Lake is not playing poorly otherwise. He's throwing away all of the good stuff that he's doing by making these mistakes, so... And this is the finals as well. He can't afford to make mistakes like this in the finals. Iron Cannon frigates now not taking the best fight against the heavy missiles. They do have a losing matchup against these frigates. However, I'm seeing salvage corvettes coming out from Sanjo here. And all of Gaza Lake's fighters are gone, right? There's a lance fighter that'll die very quickly. So once another salvage corvette joins this one, we will see one of these frigates just insta-killed. Sanjo, it looks like she's seen this probe because the mothership's right beside it, right? Probably needs to kill that. Salvage corvettes, looks like they were targeted and then forgot about. I don't know what happened there. Maybe she lost a vision because she doesn't have a probe or something like that. Can't really tell. Any lancers? No lancers, just with the assault craft. Gaza Lake's got to be thinking to himself, like, what did I do wrong? And honestly, dude, like, I have no clue why you thought using all of your assault craft solely at shooting assault frigates was the right move. I don't know what indicated to him that that was ever a good idea, because they don't do any damage. Like, can you not see that they do no damage? Like, I really don't get it, but anyway, one of these frigates is going to be stolen here by Sanjo. Now this is final, so it is a best of 5 instead of a best of 3. So Gaza Lake does have, after this game, he still does have a chance to redeem himself, but he can't lose another match. One of these frigates is stolen. There are more salvages appearing on the field, so there are 4 now. I think 2 of these will probably go down to the lance fighters though. I don't know why you're trying to kill the frigates when you're stealing them. I get Sanjo's making the same mistake, right? What are you doing? Kill the lance fighters. What? I don't understand. Again, I don't understand. I don't know. I have no idea. Why would you use your light corvettes and interceptors versus frigates? Why not just kill collectors? I don't know. I don't know. I have nothing to say about it because it's I've said it already. It's a huge waste of your damage potential, but no, not only are you shooting units that your units don't do very much damage to, you're also then stealing those units anyway, so it was a waste of your time completely, but yeah. Mistakes like that are what separate like mid-level players from good players. A mid-level player will have decent concepts of like macro and what units to make, but good players will be able to react quickly, they'll keep their probes up, they'll target the correct units, things like that, so... In any case, this fighter lead that Sanjo was able to build up by Gaza Lake just not using his assault craft has become unassailable, and with the light corvettes, he'll never get that back now. And with that strike craft battle lost, there's really nothing that Vega can do here. Their salvage is ready. Like, there's a salvager right here to steal the next thing. All of these heavy missiles just getting captured as they come out. And yeah, these are light corvettes, but I mean, this carrier is still going to go down fairly quickly. Sanjo probably focusing on the micro over here. Doesn't seem to be trying to capture this frigate just yet. And Gaza Lake looks like he scuttles it because he realizes that's going to be captured, but his flagship's about to go down to iron frigates. Yeah, I don't know. Interceptor's now finally realizing, hey, why are we shooting frigates? Let's start shooting collectors instead. They do get to that task quite well. Unfortunately, again, a good call, shoot the assault craft. With the flagship going down though, Gaza Lake loses his ability to make carriers, because he doesn't have a shipyard or anything. So, we are unfortunately going to see this flagship go down, and with that, is Gaza Lake going to be able to pull back into this game? He's only on 2 production ships. Sanjo, of course, will be on the 3 production ships. And Gaza Lake realizes it. He says, yeah, good game, I'm out of this game, there's no way I can come back. Three, 2, 1, blammo. And that's the 2-0 lead for Sanjo in this best of 5, so she only needs 1 more point and she'll be the losers finals champion. Gaza Lake he needs to win 3 games in a row to come back into this. Yeah, just brutal. I mean, enemy ships killed 97 against 248. You know, it's an unassailable lead. Also with this resource deficit, a lot of things going wrong for Gaza Lake in this game. But we'll have to see how he tries to improve things in game 3, which we'll get to in just a second. Okay, and we're back. So game 3. Game 3. This is match point for Sanjo. Gaza Lake, of course. I don't know how he reacts to pressure, but if he reacts poorly to pressure, that's this is exactly the scenario you didn't want to find yourself in, right? You need to win the next 3 games in a row against a player who's just beaten you twice to stay within the tournament, and in fact take it all. And unfortunately, I seem to have forgotten to pick Observer, but it's no problem. I'm Homeworld 1, I can just hyperspace away and scuttle. Professional caster, right? Go here.
Initiating hyperspace jump. Destroy enemy mothership.
So Sanjo over here with the tie-down roll, and Gaza Lake will be over here once I scuttle. He is still locked in on Vega. So we'll have to see how Gaza Lake tries to mix it up, but is he going to be able to manage it? You know, he doesn't seem to have realized his mistake. You know, he just kept on and on and on and on, shooting the assault frigates with his assault craft, and just lost the fighter battle because of that. Like, he doesn't seem to notice that his fighters are just being wildly misused. Like, why are you making assault craft if you're planning to shoot frigates? You know, if you want to shoot frigates, make any other unit, right? Make bombers even. I don't care. But the assault craft were completely wasted, and it just let Sanjo take the fighter battle. And because she took the fighter battle, she just, like, Gaza Lake had nothing left to do. He was just wiped out of the game. Gaza Lake seems to be opening the exact same way again. The research module plus the fighter facility. Now the Vega flagship does have trouble getting above the patch on Badlands, but in this position it's slightly better. If you start off over here where Sanjo began, the Vega flagship is actually really it has to fly away and then up and then back, so probes being exchanged here. This is a slightly, I don't know. This is a bit close for my liking. I would have liked to see it maybe over here, but not awful. This probe unfortunately will probably be able to see this one. Yeah, don't know how I like that one. In any case, the probe up here for Garzerlake. I believe that this is within the dust cloud. If it is, then it's a good probe. Else, definitely quite bad. Of course, we don't see a probe on this side of the map for Sanjo, so even if it's not in the dust cloud, for now it's going to be safe. I wonder if you're going to see Sanjo open the exact same way for game 3. You know, it's been working out for her so far. Yep, there we do see the fighter technology already. How many patches is Sanjo going to go for here? Are we going to see a 2-patch all-in, or are we going to see 3-patch standard play? Or perhaps even 4 patches with a, you know, a really macro-focused style? Gaza just saturating his natural now. Took the right patch. There is another patch that he can take. This one. I mean, these are the patches that are available. This would be a bad idea, this one, because again, I've talked about this in game 1, but taking a forward patch as Vega versus Homeworld 1, I'd call it disrespectful, to be honest. I really don't think Vega has any place doing such a thing. So the options are fairly even, I'd say. All 3 of these patches are decent. This one, of course, gets slightly faster returns because your carrier starts here. This one is the safest. This one is about middle. But I feel like it's too far away to justify its position. You know, it's still not as safe as this one, and it's not as fast as this one, so... Of course, the fastest would be that front patch, but the front patch, you know, like I said, you just can't hold it against Homeworld 1. Sanjo now sending out interceptors. Gaza Lake does see this. So is he going to stick himself on 2 patches, or is he going to take a 3rd patch? Is he going to get a carrier, or is he going to try and make double assault craft? Sanjo, once again with this frigate style. So no Corvettes from Sanjo, going again for these frigates. I wonder how quick these frigates are going to come out this game. Last game, I looked at the timer, it was about 9 minutes that the frigates came out. So they can definitely be built faster than that, given that she already has that frigate technology. Of course, she does have to research the assault frigate tech. This frigate tech only indicates support frigates. The thing about the support frigate tech is that it opens up the tree. You know, you have support frigates, you also have assault frigates here, but you also have gravity wells. I think you have the sensor array tech as well. So, could be going in any direction like that. But if you just get this and then immediately tech the assault frigates and then immediately build them, should definitely be faster than 9 minutes, which is what we saw about last game. However, it might not have the money to do so. Only on 2 patches, and making interceptors constantly is quite a difficult thing to maintain. So we will have to see how that one plays out. Assaultcraft already have their speed upgrade. Which is fine. I mean, he doesn't really know where Sanjo is. As far as I can tell, this probe is the only vision he has on the map, and I believe its vision only extends to about here. So these interceptors are going to be a surprise when they rock up. He does have a probe over here, so he is starting to see these come in now. So he's starting to take up a more defensive position around his carrier, which is very good. Hopefully this game, you know, when he sees frigates on the field, he doesn't start trying to shoot them with his assault craft. One assault craft really mispositioned. This is definitely one that was just built. But Sanjo not going to capitalize on that at all. In fact, gets very unfortunate. Starts targeting this collector, which was on the other side of this asteroid, so it doesn't even get any damage down on it. How is this fight going to pan out? I think Gaza Lake will probably take this fight if he plays it correctly. I said that last game too, and he did not play it correctly, so you know, it's not a done deal. And Sanjo correctly identifies, hey, this is a bit dicey for me. He's got 2 streams of assault craft right next to a carrier. I probably shouldn't take this fight. And just pulls away. So very, I wouldn't say scared, but cautious play from Sanjo. You know, not throwing things away when she doesn't need to. Comfortable just to sit here and get those frigates out. I would say Homeworld does need to be careful, because there is always the threat that this carrier turns into a huge problem. Oh, the double assault frigate hyperspace in. Okay, this is what we were talking about. 6 minutes 48, so 3 minutes earlier than the assault frigates appeared last time. Correctly targeting one of these collectors that is leaving the mothership. Unfortunately, this collector docks with the wrong side of the asteroid, so these assault frigates are not going to be able to shoot it for a couple of seconds. But it should still go down. It should still go down. It does have a probe here, probably can't see these patches. Very nice. Needs to get retargeted very quickly, don't want to waste time. First thing I'd kill is the probe. Second resource collector is targeted here. This one is a bit dicier. I feel like this one is probably just about to head towards the dock point. But maybe it can be killed just before that happens. Looks like it might go down. I think it will at this point, yep. So as you can see, this was a whole wing of assault craft. How much damage did that do? What, a tenth maybe? They really suck. They just suck against frigates. Like, don't use them for this. In this case, actually, I'm fine with it, because he's not under pressure from interceptors. If there's interceptors here, shoot those first. Okay, this is not the correct target. Once you retarget to this one. Don't think it's going to go down, and it doesn't, so it gets the dock off. Retargets now to this collector. Not the right one either. This one's probably about to head towards the dock point. Maybe you can get it in time though, just because it's going to take a couple seconds before it gets that done. Yep, not even able to unlatch before it goes down. Okay, so great, a huge lead already for Sanjo. More assault frigates are on the field here. They are just moving across slowly this time. Probably doesn't have the economy to support another hyperspace in. And honestly doesn't need it at this point. One of these assault frigates will go down shortly, but not before it lands quite good damage on another collector, I'd say. No, these two are docked, so this one will die before getting another shot off. However, now that these interceptors are here, these assault craft don't have any business continuing to fire at assault frigates. Okay, thank goodness. I really thought he would make the same mistake 2 games in a row, but it looks like he's using his assault craft to actually shoot interceptors this time. With the help of the flagship, I think this is going to go quite well. He does have heavy missiles on the field now, so these assault frigates really can't come into this position. But I don't think they care, right? They already killed basically all the collectors over here. I only see one here. Unless there's one docked, which could be the case, but... you know, he's down a whole patch here. These assault frigates definitely need to get shooting on this patch, although, does Sanjo see this patch? Yes, she does. No reason to shoot the carrier, I'd say. Just fly to this patch and kill the collectors. To be honest, you could even take the fight with this singular heavy missile. Until it gets its upgrade, 3 assault frigates do take I think they beat it. So could also do that. Just decides to get damage down on this carrier though, which I don't really agree with. Also, one of these is shooting at fighters, which is not going to go well. This assault frigate definitely going to go down very shortly. We're seeing a Corvette follow-up from Sanjo. These are just light Corvettes, as far as I can tell. So it's light Corvettes plus frigates. Now, as you can see, Gaza Lake took an immaculate fight this time. He used all of his assault craft to kill all of the interceptors, and look at that. Now he's not down an enormous, ridiculous amount on the army supply. His carrier's fine. He needs to replace this patch, but he's got another one over here. So he does probably have the money to do that quite quickly. He's gone 3 production ships at that. And these heavy missiles now being produced, and they will just take care of all of these assault frigates. Now, Gaza Lake does need to get a handful of lance fighters. The assault craft in this number will take a decent enough fight against the light corvettes, but it's not a great fight. I'll put it that way. You know, they will trade very inefficiently. Oh god, it's happening again. Okay, so Sanjo needs to be shooting at the assault craft with the light corvettes, but instead decides to shoot at this heavy missile frigate. Letting these assault craft take a much better fight than they should have any reason to take against the light corvettes. All of these are going to go down for no reason. Gaza Lake doesn't seem to be replacing any of the collectors he lost over here, so he is essentially on 2 patches, and at that, this is a undersaturated patch. So as I can see, this is 7 plus 1 plus 4, so he's only on 12 collectors here. 7 plus 1 plus 4 is 12? Yes, it is. Quick maths. Alright, so we're seeing these light corvettes. Are they targeting the fighters finally? Yes, it does look like they're actually shooting fighters now, but it's a little bit too late. We will probably see one of these assault craft go down. The light corvettes are actually beyond good against fighters. They're really way too good. Honestly, even though multi-guns are decent, there's really no reason to build them because light corvettes are available. More and more light corvettes on the field now for Sanjo. But these assault frigates, you know, they're not going to do anything. This carrier is going to be completely fine. The best thing assault frigates could have done in that window was to go over here and kill the collectors. Unfortunately, just kind of wastes them flying in here. So, yeah, Gaza Lake able to stabilize. And all of these light corvettes cleared up. They will take good fights, as I just said, against these assault craft, but there's just so many assault craft that, and there is a lance fighter on the field now, so these light corvettes are really history. Gaza Lake able to hold the push from Sanjo. And, that's big. You know, he wasn't able to do that last game, but this game he stabilizes. So this is a phase of the game we haven't seen between these two yet. We haven't seen Gaza Lake effectively hold Sanjo's push, but this time he's able to do it, so... Sanjo needs to pull back with these units, definitely has no reason to be here. An iron frigate trying to take shots at the assault craft here. correctly sees that this is not happening. Salvage corvettes were very... I don't know. Yeah, there was no room to build salvage corvettes here. You're not winning the fighter battle this time. Hopefully we don't see more. Yeah, there are more actually. Yeah, this is not going to end well. They're all going to go down. And yeah, so we'll have to see what Sanjo's follow-up is. You know, these salvage corvettes, as we've just been watching, have just been getting picked off for no reason. The light corvettes have actually stopped being produced. There are a handful of iron frigates, but there's more than a handful of heavy frigates ready to join this fight. Although some of them are over here. If they were over here, I'd say Sanjo could even lose the game right now. As it stands, I feel like she might be able to hold this. But we'll have to see. Another iron frigate over here. You know, iron frigates I don't feel like are a good option against heavy missiles. What you really need are the heavy corvettes. So the composition you need to be going for against this is mass interceptors, some light corvettes, and the rest is heavy corvettes. But does she have enough time, right? We're almost seeing a reverse situation here. You know, there's an almost insurmountable push coming in from one player, and the other player just doesn't have the time of day to make the units to deal with it. Without some miraculous salvages coming off here, which I don't think we're going to see. Without miracle salvages going off, I really don't know how Sanjo is going to hold these heavy missiles. There's more and more of them coming across the field here. A couple of the heavy missiles have gone down. Because they're not being reinforced, the iron frigates are probably going to hold this, but... actually, that could be a huge deal. These heavy missiles... I'm pretty sure they were just sat over here for quite a long time. I assumed that they would join this fight as soon as possible, but they actually spent a lot of time over there doing nothing. Because of that, these iron frigates are able to hold when they really should not have been able to hold. Salvage corvettes just getting massacred by lance fighters, not able to do anything. But even with the very slow reinforcing on these heavy missiles, they will still take this fight. You know, there's only 2 iron frigates left against what is effectively 4 heavy missiles on the field here. Sanjo unable to control the fighter battle. Lance fighters going for collectors. If you lose these lance fighters, it opens the field again for corvettes, which is not what you want to see. Are we seeing any tech rush from Sanjo here? No, there's no capital class facility, so we're not going to see destroyers either. Loads of ints all over the place over here, but they're probably not going to clear anything up before it's too late. And for some reason they're now starting to fly over here. I don't know what they're trying to do. There was a free squadron here. I have no idea why you wouldn't kill it. Over here as well. So the iron frigate's just completely overwhelmed here against these heavy missiles. Heavy missiles don't even have their armor upgrade, by the way. They're still taking this fight fairly convincingly, just through sheer numbers. So Garzerlake on 3 patches. Wait, is that 4 patches? No, 3 patches. I say 3 patches very liberally. This is really 2 patches. But he does have the carrier that he's always needed. He was able to hold the push. Sanjo lost a ton of units trying to push in like that. Really lost the fighter battle. And we've seen again, you know, the player that loses the fighter battle, really, there's such a hole in their technology that they can't patch up in time, and they end up losing the whole game. At this stage, you're thinking, what do I make? The correct answer is probably light corvettes, mine layer corvettes, bombers, interceptors, like some mixed force like that. It's all you can hope for. Eventually, I feel like Sanjo's probably going to start taking the fighter battle, but it's going to be very tough. In fact, I think this is making fighters. No, it's not. Just this one making fighters. Okay. But it's probably going to be way too late. By the time Sanjo starts to get a foothold with the fighters, heavy missiles are going to have killed every collector on the field. And the carrier, probably. Another probe from Gaza Lake here. Very good. Most players completely forget about vision once the game properly starts, but Gaza Lake seems to be keeping it up. One of these collectors going down now. Oh, is it going to dock? No, okay. Yeah, this is we're finally starting to see light corvettes come back out for Sanjo. You shouldn't have given up on light corvettes. You know, lance fighters are scary, I agree, but light corvettes are equally as scary. If you can kill the lance fighters, then the light corvettes will just sweep everything else. Unfortunately, though, it's too little, too late. Even if you're making the correct tech now, how the hell are you going to deal with this many heavy missiles? Look how many there are. This is just, yeah. I don't really know what to say here. This is categorically over for Sanjo. So Garzerlake, you know, he was on the back foot. He had to lose one game to be knocked out completely, but he digs his heels in, holds a push, and then pushes right back with the heavy missiles and takes the game. Of course, the game is not quite over yet, but again, I really don't see a way for Sanjo to come back into this. She's down a patch now as well, you know, it's... I really don't see a way in. I don't see a way in. Another collector's surely going to go down here. Could probably kill the research ship as well, just to add insult to injury, or just going to go straight for the flagship. We are seeing now that the light corvettes are actually hammering away quite effectively at these fighters, but you know, like I said, even if you start to win this fight, yeah, you've now got this insurmountable heavy missile frigate pool to deal with. The flagship's surely going to go down. You know, at this point, now that you're starting to win the fighter battle, maybe try and make salvage corvettes or something like that, but honestly, it's... I really don't see a way back in for Gaza Lake. Only now gets a refinery on this patch as well, so kind of long distance mining here, but really doesn't matter, does it? This is kind of over. Does have the upgrade on his frigates now. Flagship for Sanjo about to go down, and once the flagship goes down for Homeworld 1, it really is the game. Like, you can't come back from that. Especially without extra carriers, you know? So Sanjo taking the strike battle, but there's no resources left. You know, on one production queue, trying to deal with this many heavy missiles is it's not going to happen. Salvage corvettes are the only thing that could have made a dent here. Maybe mine layers could have done so as well, but it's just not going to happen. I mean, look how tanky this frigate is. It's just not dying. It's honestly so depressing to use heavy corvettes against the missile frigates. They really just don't kill them as fast as you'd hope. Sanjo calls the GG as her flagship goes up in a puff of smoke. Garzerlake calling the GG as well. And there is the forfeit. So Garzerlake managing to take this clutch game. You know, Sanjo, if she'd won this game, it would have been the tournament victory, but Garzerlake able to push back in game 3. So the scoreline is now 2-1. Is this going to rattle Sanjo? You know, she was on such a roll, and to be suddenly stopped in your tracks like that can have quite a demoralizing effect on a player. We'll have to see how she handles this. You know, is this going to rattle her? You know, is Garzerlake going to be, you know, galvanized? Is he going to start saying, oh wait, I can win this, I just need to do this? Is Sanjo worried? Is she thinking, wow, the things I'm doing, maybe they're not going to work anymore, do I have to think of something else? We'll have to see how it plays out in game 4, sorry, which is shortly. Okay, game 4. I've not said that before. This is the first game 4 we've had the entire tournament. Garzerlake managing to pull it back in game 3 just when he needed it. Of course, he does have to win these next 2, but now he's taken one game. Is he filled with confidence? Can he take the next 2? We'll have to see how the psychological element plays out in this series. Okay, so we got Garzerlake in the yellow. I meant to ally with Sanjo just to keep her as the yellow, but this time I'm allied with Garzerlake, so he will be showing the yellow colors. So try and keep that in mind.
Destroy enemy mothership.
Up against Sanjo, who's rolled Taidan again, so 3 Taidan games, 1 Kushan game. Now this is a smaller map than Badlands, so we might see that play a significant factor in this game, because every time that Gaza Lake has been close to Sanjo, Sanjo's been able to take the game. But with distance, it seems like Gaza Lake is able to hold his own. Which is really as you'd expect with Vega versus Homeworld 1. So a couple of slow collector assignments here. Where is he going? It looks like he's going to take the side patch rather than the central patch, which is exactly as I expect him to do, because as I just said, he performs a lot better when he's over here, you know, like when he's got this buffering distance. When he's too close, he tends to just get overwhelmed by Homeworld 1's early dominance, so we'll have to see what Sanjo goes for this game. Are we going to see the fighters yet again? I'm expecting yes, just because making Corvettes against Vega, you can't really get away with it. Mono Corvette is so easily counterable for Vega. They can make Lance Fighters and they can make Missile Corvettes. So I'm expecting the fighters from Sanjo. Garzerlake, I'm at, yep, there it is, the fighter and the research module. He does this every game, which is kind of interesting. He doesn't really scout before doing it, which means he's technically throwing away 1,000 resources at the start of the game for no reason. Potentially no reason. Against Sanjo it makes sense because Sanjo seems to open fighters every single time, but against an opponent who doesn't make anything at the start of the game, for example, doing that is just throwing away 1,000 resources, which is obviously not optimal. Sanjo kind of moving her flagship. No, that's good, that's pretty good. As you can see, the runway begins sort of here, so that's about as good as you're going to get. Perhaps keep it back a little bit so you make a triangle like that, but this is fine. Taking the central patch, does want to take that aggressive posture. Probably going to see the fighter rush from Sanjo again, but no fighter research, I should say, just yet. Which is interesting. Is this a frigate rush? Is this some sort of fast frigates, something like that? It could just be down to the slower patch taking here from Sanjo. Of course, this patch is kind of far away, but it's not like fighter technology is particularly expensive, so we'll have to see how this one plays out. Garzerlake with the slight mispositioning on his flagship here. It's nothing too serious. I just thought I'd point that out. It could be slightly better placed. Also, the carrier could also be better placed. But again, it's quite good, so I really don't think it's going to play too much of a factor in this game. Perhaps if the game lasts till like 25 minutes, this might have added up to maybe 1,000 resources or something, but maybe not even that, to be honest. It's honestly only very slightly suboptimal. And this is an intercept. So yes, the fighters from Sanjo yet again. No fast frigates or anything spicy like that. And so the problem on Karam Wreck with taking the side patch is that it's actually very difficult to take a third, because you now spread yourself out like this, whereas if you take the forward patch, you spread yourself out like that, right? So it's this square against this rectangle. So you minimize the surface area by taking the forward patch. However, of course, the forward patch, you are easily rushable, so there's a trade-off with that. It's a very classic map building style, you know, to have 4 opposite positions with a rich center, but safer expands on the sides. So we see these interceptors from Sanjo again. Only the first assault craft popping out now. Already has a speed upgrade, which is perhaps a bit early. Sorry, it's the second assault craft. There was one up here. Perhaps a bit early. You know, it does cost a lot to get that. It's 1,500 resources, so... But with your opponent making interceptors already, it's completely justified. Needs to get this assault craft back down onto the field of play. Being up here, those few seconds that it's going to take to get down could be... You know, they could add up. Now Sanjo does see these assault craft. There is a scout right here. Would prefer a probe, because honestly, if you put a probe like here on Karam, you can see everything. Assault craft starting to take this fight already. I don't like this very much. I feel like the interceptors will win this fight. And as you can see, they're starting to chip away quite heavily at this specific squadron. I wonder if we're going to see it go down. Supporting fire coming in from the flagship, but this... Oh no! She ran away for some reason. Okay, so this squadron will live to tell the tale. Probably going to lose the scout as well. The thing about scouts, if you're using them as probes, you need to have them in passive so they don't start trying to join into fights and things like that. I wonder if it's going to be able to get away. It is using speed boost. And it looks like it did get away safely. So Sanjo, her initial rush is kind of repelled. I say repelled, she hasn't really begun to rush yet. The Corvettes are the follow-up, so a very, 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 very fast Corvette switch in. Faster than it was the last games, I think. This is still up here. I think Gaza Lake's forgotten about this squadron, which is pretty unfortunate. But he does have that carrier very quick. So Sanjo needs to make something happen within the next minute or so, I'd say. She also probably hasn't realised that he's taken this patch, right? Just a couple of heavy Corvettes would shut this down. Getting a bit of lag here. This could be from me, I'll check. Nope, not from me. So hopefully neither player actually drops here. Oh, what's going on? This game is chugging. I'm seeing Sanjo lagging. Okay, seems like everyone's okay, which is very fortunate. So the chunky boys, the heavy vets, the tie-down heavy Corvette looks so chubby, right? I mean, look at that boy. Look at his face, look at his cheeks. He's out on the field now, so this is the tech. I would have preferred to see at least 6 or so light Corvettes from Sanjo. They would have done so much work in ensuring that she won the fighter battle, but switching directly into heavies is also not bad because you get to land fire on these collectors very rapidly. Sanjo with the scout now actually does see this patch. The heavy Corvette's already swinging around to take care of that. Very good here. Very, very, very good. This is just 5 collectors, this is just 4 collectors. If you're able to trap Gaza Lake on this amount of collectors, it's going to be very difficult for him to hold. The Assault Craft now swinging around to defend this patch. Honestly, I'd cut this patch, I'd bring them all back here, because these 2 patches are undersaturated. Definitely don't want to be sending extra collectors over there. And we can see the heavy Corvettes starting to fly in now. Looks like they might even be targeting the refinery. Nope, they are targeting one of these collectors. Lots of firepower being laid down here. Great thing about the burst ability is it will hit through the asteroid. One collector down already. And the assault craft from Gaza Lake have been spooked away by these interceptors. So as I said, he should have just grabbed these collectors and run away to his main patch with them. Now sending both his flagship and his carrier somewhere. I don't know what he's doing with these. We'll have to see. Another collector goes down. Probably third one about to fall. It is trying to dock, but this is a lot of Corvettes. And in fact, they correctly switched targets to this one. Yet another resource collector going down here for Gaza Lake. This one's probably going to go down even though it's docked. And it does. And now the refinery is easy pickings. And it's going to go down imminently. So this was a lot of resources. Each collector's worth 600, I think, going off memory, and the refinery is definitely worth 800. So probably over 1,000 resources, maybe even 2,000 resources spent to try and get this patch. Sure, it did mine a bit, but it's not mining now, and it's all dead. So Sanjo even trying to take a third patch of her own. I don't feel like she needs to do this. I feel like I'd focus in on just winning the game here, because you're up in economy, you're up in tech. Your opponent can't really afford the production he's built now that he's stuck on 2 patches. Gaza Lake definitely needs to try and somehow find the time to make 3 or so collectors, just to bolster his mining, because getting things done like this is going to be difficult. However, Sanjo decides to take a third patch, which is also a great decision. If you can secure a patch over your opponent, and you know that they're not in any position to fight back on that front, you could just run away with the game, because you'll have an entire patch lead on them. And so you can almost stop microing at that point. You can just throw units at them. Some defenders now for Sanjo. This is interesting. I don't really like defenders. I feel like there's no reason to make defenders when you can make light Corvettes. I feel like they kind of do the same thing, surely. They're slow and they shoot fighters. The difference is that defenders, of course, you have to research them. I don't know. I think there's no reason to make them. Even in Classic, there's really no reason to make them. You can just make Corvettes for the same purpose. Sanjo just taking an aggressive posture here, making sure Gaza Lake doesn't even try to take this patch. I doubt we'll see him try and take this one again. And I don't know, Gaza Lake, kind of like clockwork here. He's making the heavy missiles once more. Even though he's seen mass heavy Corvette from his opponent, he still makes these heavy missile frigates. I have no idea why. You know, like, players just need to stop for a moment and think about what they're doing. There's no reason to be making heavy missile frigates here. Yeah, just focus on like maybe missile corvettes or something like that, right? He does have a lot of lance fighters, but I don't know. Even a mine layer from Sanjo. Although I would say Sanjo needs to make sure she doesn't lose the interceptor fight. Losing these interceptors would mean that the lance fighters are capable of killing a lot of these heavy corvettes for free, so just needs to be careful about that one. Defenders now joining the fight. They do have great DPS against fighters. Oh my god, this heavy missile frigate just going down extremely quickly. So these heavy missiles not doing anything really. It's all up to the lance fighters at this point. They have to secure this position for Gaza Lake, which means that the interceptors need to all die, and so do all the defenders need to die as well. Obviously, defenders have very high DPS against the fighters, but again, you know, you already had Corvette technology. Why not make light Corvettes, I guess? Or just more interceptors, right? I don't know. So the heavy Corvette ball, completely uncontested, swings around to this patch, and how's Gaza Lake going to hold this? How's he going to hold it? There's so many heavy Corvettes bearing down on his patch here. He's still making heavy missile frigates for some reason, I have no idea why. And his fighters are all getting cleared up here, and the heavy Corvettes just moving in. This is so many heavy Corvettes. I can't even believe it, that none of these collectors are going to survive. Heavy Corvette's now just finishing off this weakened heavy missile frigate. It will go down very rapidly. Lance Fighter's trying to take out the mine layer Corvette. Two more coming in. And yeah, heavy missile frigate goes down. The carrier's next, right? Surely. Like, this carrier's just going to go down. There's absolutely nothing that can be done about this. Maybe a cloak could be built feasibly, but I think the carrier's going to die before that happens. Especially with that burst ability, this carrier's done. Even mine layers into the fight now. Oh dear, this is going to be rough. Yep, carrier goes down. Not that Gaza Lake could really afford this carrier anyway. Plus, it was making frigates, which were useless. So, not the biggest loss. Losing this one's going to hurt a lot, though. Lancefight is trying their best here, but too many interceptors, too many defenders. Tries to get the scuttle on his carrier. Oh, this could be huge. Well, I say huge. He's still going to be massively behind, but if he gets this good scuttle off on the flagship, all of these Corvettes could go down. Sandra doesn't seem like she's noticed. Oh! Oh, wow! Oh my goodness. Every single heavy Corvette dies here. Obviously Sanjo is still massively in the lead in this game. I still don't see a way that Gaza Lake can pull this one back, but maybe if he still had that carrier, a different story, but he's on one patch here, with I mean, these two collectors are beaten up. Lance Fighter's trying to run in now. Hopefully they don't get killed before they're able to dock. Taking some hits, but should be okay. Yeah. And here comes the attack now from Sanjo. And Gaza Lake, he's on one carrier. I don't know what he's going to build from this carrier to stay in this game. It's probably going to have to be something like a battle cruiser. Yeah, a giant battle cruiser just coming out the bottom here. But aside from that, I really don't know. To be honest, even a battle cruiser would probably not be able to win this game. This is a lot of heavy Corvettes. There's mines on the field and all that kind of stuff, so even salvage Corvettes could just come out and deal with that. Lance Fighter's getting absolutely massacred by the defenders. Gaza Lake admits it. He says, yeah, this is GG. And there's the Scar. Oh my goodness. So Sanjo of the Banjo Valley is the losers bracket champion. How about that? All the way through this tournament, she's been improving steadily, and now we see her. And honestly, the performance she put on today would get her decently far in winners, I'd say. You know, winning losers like this just shows how much she's grown already in this very short time. So just really impressive play from Sanjo. Always keeping the pressure on, always killing collectors, always making the correct units, just masterful control, always focusing the correct units. Just really good play, really well played. As for Garzerlake, you know, he's in the same boat. He got all the way to the finals, and he took a game off Sanjo as well. Let's not forget that. He himself has improved a tremendous amount. He still makes mistakes here and there, and that's as we saw, you know, with the interceptors shooting the assault frigates and things like that. But massive improvement from both of these players. Really happy to see this performance from both of them. What a great finals. You know, 3-1 wasn't a clean sweep. Garzerlake managing to pull it back right at a clutch moment, but Sanjo says, you know, my game style, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just going to stick with my guns, make these interceptors, then go into Corvettes. Just brilliant. So yeah, what a finals. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Next up is the winners finals between me and Cloak, so definitely stay tuned for that one. I think, obviously that'll be a post-commentary, but it should be very fun to watch. Anyway, catch you next time. Ciao, ciao.